All right, everyone, thank you for taking the time out, even though the weather isn't as nice as it should be.
Are
But
you the one responsible for the weather?
I did, I cracked the whip, I said.
I see.
All right. Is there any agenda additions or deletions? Okay, hearing none. I'd ask for approval of the minutes of, here,
Yep.
George, pass it.
Mr. Chairman,
September 23. Yes.
I didn't see it on here, executive session brief.
It's on the second page.
Oh, it's 2 pages?
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, I move that we accept the minutes of September 23rd.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any concerns, considerations? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, we have, just for tonight, new business. John McKenna, you want to speak to that, right?
Sure.
Okay, let's go.
So the planning commission has been working on the town plan for the last few months, and it came to our attention that grant that we had the hearing about for the
Yeah.
feasibility study down by the airport came along, and one of the requirements for that grant and for most grants nowadays is that you have an active and in-place town plan, and ours had expired in June. So we thought what we would do for right now to get the plan back into place is make the changes that were required by law. There's 2 laws that were passed, Act 171 and the Home Act, that required certain things to go into a town plan. We got some help from Rutland Regional Planning Commission. We had them do this after July 1st because he got a new pot of money. He could do it for us for free. Free is good. So they made those changes for us. We also just updated whatever statistical data stuff there was that needed to be updated, population and all of those just little data metrics. There were some changes for the school, the education portion of it, because it was written prior to the formation of Mill River Unified Union District. So I got the superintendent to give me the information on that. So that information changed very slightly. It was just updating the details. Where it said RSSU, it's now MRU USD, stuff like that. Otherwise, it's all just the number of students in each grade and percentage of Clarendon residents versus others in the school. And other than that, there really wasn't anything changed. If you look pages 13, 78, 80, and 81, you've got copies that all have some highlights. Those are the things that were required by law. Just new wording on, I think it has to do mostly, a lot of it is like affordable housing and things like that.
So you're saying essentially the only changes to the plan that was in place are these highlights?
Yes, that and just data. Like wherever you see numbers,
Yep.
for percentage of this or number of that, that's changed too as necessary based on, because there's been a census since that was done, since the last plan was done, things like that.
And like, for example, this little chart on page 13 is current.
It should be current now, yes. Yeah, because the last census would have been 2010, so this
Yeah.
was, I think we adopted this originally in 2015, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's something in that neighborhood,
Yeah, so there was a census in between, so that information was corrected and updated. On page 14, that last column, it's 2015 numbers instead of 2010 numbers. That was really it. So we had a hearing on September 16th.
How many showed up?
Just members of the commission. Not even all of them, but that happens sometimes.
Yep.
We've had no comments from anybody. It was advertised, the hearing was advertised at the transfer station, here at Town Hall, the post office, in the paper, although we sent it to them well in advance, and they still didn't publish it till a couple days later than they should have, but we sent it to them anyway. So it was public, it was, on the website, it was put out in all the places where we need to put it out for people. No comments. Really, basically, there haven't been any significant changes to it. So at our last meeting, a week ago today, we voted to send it to you folks. And so you can have your hearing that's required by statute, and hopefully we can get it approved.
So, as far as the wordsmithing, I presume it's been looked at by the Rutland Planning Group.
Yeah, I had to send it to them as well as a couple of state agencies, whatever the ACCD acronym means.
So,
It was sent to all of the planning commissions in the abutting towns, all the chairs of the planning commissions. So it has been disseminated everywhere it is legally required to be.
and what's your time frame?
Well, since the feasibility study grant that they talked to us about for the airport is being redirected somewhere else, there's no particular rush on it, except that during that hearing there was talk about the town applying for grants for road work and
Yeah.
grants for other things, and in all likelihood an intact town plan may be a requirement for any of those grants too. If not road, it might be for other planning grants or other, there's a ton of grants out there to do stuff. I think the recreation committee is looking to apply for some grants.
So
And I know
think-
Sarah did say that a town plan is required for one of
So
those.
what you're suggesting is sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later, so that any grants the town applies for would be approved, or at least not rejected on the basis of us not having an in-place town plan.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
You may.
having had experience with town plans in the past, here, at this point in the process, I suspect that there's very little that people could find in terms of being not according to what's required. I mean, we might disagree with some of it, but from the standpoint of the changes and what's required at this point, I don't think you're gonna find many objections from anybody. And having said that, my suggestion would be to schedule a hearing either the next couple of board meetings and have it before or after. So let's get it over and done with.
Can,
If that gives us enough time to advertise.
I think we had to get information out to the other planning commissions in the state 30 days ahead, but I don't think you folks do. I think it just has to be in the paper for 15 days
Yeah.
and posted in places around town, but I think you've only got a 15-day window
Which is
of
doable.
advance notice, so that would be maybe 3 meetings down the road.
Yep.
Theoretically.
what's the time frame to our next meeting? Just 14 days?
Right, the next one's on October 28th, but we could do it, our next November meeting is Wednesday, the 13th.
That's too short.
Well, that's a month away from,
Yeah, that,
We also have to
that'd
be
perfect.
careful. We also have to be careful
I missed
because
about-
budgets are gonna come in.
Right.
We're gonna
Yeah,
be
that's
doing,
what I'm thinking about. Let's get it done.
So our next meeting is what did you say?
14 days.
14 days.
So it ain't a 15-day thing.
Yeah, it would have to be the November date is the
Yep.
earliest you could do, the first one in November.
All right. Make a motion?
I make the motion, or I move that we schedule a hearing on the revised Clarendon Town Plan for the November,
13th.
13th meeting.
And it'll be located here.
Yep.
Anybody want to second that for discussion?
Me.
just-
Where's the budget stuff come in? Cause all of a sudden, wham, we got,
That's gonna start pretty soon.
I was actually gonna request that at that meeting that we start our budget workshops an hour previous to.
Yeah, that's how we were doing them.
my thought is not to double things up like that.
I think
This is, we need, there's
I
some
mean,
thought.
So
Not
how
to go
long
in
is there a time requirement for how long the hearing has to
No, it's
be
just,
for?
Just long enough for people to be able to comment.
if there are
So I'm
people,
saying if
If
we,
there are
if
any, I
we,
mean, there aren't likely to be because there's really nothing.
right, so I'm saying if your normally scheduled meetings at 6 PM, we start budget at 5 PM. If you do half an hour, allow half an hour before that, like start the meeting, or the hearing at 4:30 to 5, do budget 5 to 6, and is that,
Yep.
cause it's not like the hearing has to be a long amount of time, right?
Probably even budget 15 minutes.
15
for it.
minutes.
I mean, I held it open for like 10 or 15 minutes just in case anybody walked out in the door, but
yeah,
And then, I mean, if someone shows up and it goes longer than the time, then it goes longer than the time, and we just have shorter time during doing the opening
Budget.
budget workshop, that's fine. But that's my recommendation anyways.
That's a good one.
the motion made, you seconded, Cass. Any
Did.
further discussion? Huh?
I did.
I thought that's what you meant.
He
I had a
didn't,
question about
Huh?
it.
didn't, but I will,
Okay.
so just
for 4:30.
yeah, one other comment though is what's in here is not necessarily the final thing. If people come forward and they want changes and it's a substantial
can
enough
work
that we
that
make
as a-
changes, we can make changes to it. It's not the end. But once that hearing is over, if you all approve it, then it's approved. But the planning commission, because we did this on a tight schedule for a specific reason, we did commit to continuing to work on this. There's nothing saying we can't keep updating this.
Of course.
It doesn't change, so if it's approved at that November meeting, then it goes into effect, and even if we make changes in the next year or 2 years or 3 years, it doesn't change the date for when we have to do another complete update like this.
Remind
Doesn't
me,
change the expiration date of it.
what's the adoption procedure?
Yeah, what causes it to expire? I mean,
Age, it's 5 years. No, it used to be
it's
5
5
years. I
years.
think it's 8.
I thought it was still 5.
It's
It was
8
5
because
years.
otherwise it just if we adopted it in 2015 and it just expired, then it would have to be maybe it was 2016. It's 8 years I think now. It used to be 5. Then I think they changed it to 8 fairly recently.
I haven't paid that
So
much.
it just ages out.
Jan, do you have?
Is the document available is it online?
Yes, it's on the
Where is it?
website.
It's on the Clarendon Town website?
Yep.
I was just looking for it, I couldn't find it.
I can email it to you, Jan.
Okay.
Because I had a question about that, is maybe I'm misreading this about conservancy and stuff like that, and they're talking about the forest land and stuff, and does that tie up the development of a property owner of some sort? I'm just thinking out of the box, that's all.
Which part are you talking about? Is it one of the highlighted parts?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing we can do about that because that all is language required by statute.
Okay.
Theoretically, it could, but it's required by statute, and there's not much we can
But
do.
it'd have
Well,
to
we
get
talked
this-
about expansion, more population and stuff like that, and in order to do that, pretty much every household's already full.
I think the development that the state is currently trying to encourage is where there's already development. Downtowns. Act 250 used to talk about, trying to control sprawl, but now they're basically talking about housing adjacent to areas that already have housing, so that's going to be sprawl by definition, but
That's kind of what I was getting.
I didn't write the laws, I just have to change the plan.
I didn't know if it put a
accommodate.
cap on everything that you couldn't do. This,
The plan, so the town plan is just sort of this is what we would like to see. This is the idea of what we think, where Clarendon is now, where it's been in the past, where we want it to be in the future. The zoning bylaws are the ones that actually establish
Control.
the rules
Right.
about where things can be built, where you can do, what you can do and where. The planning commission had actually worked on those prior to working on this, and we weren't concerned about this expiring because there was nothing coming up. We were like this close to putting out a hearing for the bylaws, but we didn't feel like we could do it in the timeline that we needed to, so, and this was expiring, and you can't adopt bylaws if you have an outdated plan, an expired plan. So the bylaws are one of the next things we're gonna tackle, because we've pretty much already gotten those kind of fleshed out and ready to go. And we actually tried to pull back on some of the restrictions, kind of open things up a little bit more. You know, I think everybody on that commission, well, I can't speak for everyone on the commission, but there were a good number of us who are of the opinion that given today's climate, economy and all of that, that none of us really wanted to, we wanted to put as few restrictions as possible on particularly farmers who need to do something that's out of the norm for agriculture with their land in order to be able to keep their land.
Right.
So we did try to sort of ease things up as much as we felt like we could within the state statutes. So I think when the draft bylaws come out, I think you're going to find there's going to be a lot of stuff that we tried to kind of ease back on some of the restrictions, at least to the extent that we felt like we could get away with within state laws. So that's the part I think that you're concerned with, and that'll be addressed more in the bylaws than it would in the town plan.
I call for a vote there, Mr. Chair.
I just want to get Rob up to speed. These here are the things that were considered driven by the state.
Yeah, X 171 and the Home Act required certain language to be put into town plans when they're updated. And the highlighted portions that you have there are those sections that Logan Solomon from the Rutland Regional Planning Commission added for us based on those statutes, based on those acts. And other than that, we changed just statistical information to update it because it was last updated in 2015. There's been a census, there's been changes to population, etc. And that's
Up to the select board to schedule a public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are considering,
We have to have two, right?
I think you only have to have one because this is a
yeah, it's not a total.
readoption of an existing plan. It's
Yeah.
not a brand new plan.
Okay.
It's an it's considered an update, I think, not
Okay.
a
Wait.
readoption.
Was
So
it
is the
admitted?
call George's call for a vote? Is that to schedule a
Yes.
hearing?
And Heidi made some pretty good suggestions. Go ahead, Heidi.
At the first meeting in November is when the discussion was, we were having that discussion, that meeting, or the hearing prior to that meeting. But that was also the meeting that I was going to request at our next select board meeting to schedule our first budget workshop.
Okay.
So my recommendation was to have the budget workshop then scheduled for 5 to 6, and then have the hearing like either 4:30 to 5 or 4:45 to 5. And if it happens to pull in a lot of people and that eats into that budget workshop time, that's fine.
Yep. Okay.
The ad has to go in the paper for 15 days.
Yep.
So
Okay.
the next select board meeting won't hit that.
Yep. And I'm not at the next select board meeting. I was
So-
gonna share that later. So.
We were talking about it at the planning commission. We knew full well it wasn't going to get in this month.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're not doing a meeting next month because our regular meeting would be the day before elections. So we're not going to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got no place to go.
Exactly.
This place will be taken up.
Okay. I think I'm up to speed then. You're scheduling the hearing. So thank
All
you.
right, so George, you want to repeat your motion?
I move that we schedule a hearing on the changes to the existing town plan for November 13th and 4:30. Is that what we're saying?
Here at the town hall.
Here at the town hall, yes.
And it was seconded by Art. I tried to convince Cash to do it, but. So there's been a motion made, seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Soldier.
Off to the next meeting I have. Thank you, everybody.
All right, good job. Thank you.
You're going to put that hearing in. notice it. I don't have to do it this
No.
time.
Thank you.
Because we know how that works.
Yeah. Well, we both tried.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, Highway Department.
Thank you.
Night, John.
First off, what I understand in history, there's been an ongoing problem with, on East Street with drainage problems. With the lawn being too close to the road on a slight corner, almost a straightaway, but we're having also fixing it with washouts because water's not getting off the road, and I didn't know if it's up to you guys, if the select board, if we want to do a site visit or pursue it or leave it alone.
It's south.
And
Going, oh, that's
this is-
down by,
This is going up Bump Road, turn on East Street, head south, just
Yeah.
south
okay.
Like
on East
Peter.
Street.
Yeah, his house.
It's Peters.
Yes.
When I lived up there, the road was a little bit more west.
It was.
Yes, it was. And then, if you look at his front yard now, because I went up there and revisited, if you look at his front yard, you could see where he pushed his front lawn into the road. But
And if that's the case, I can get a plan together of what slight minimum excavation work would be to correct the problem.
it's either that or
But I don't know.
hire somebody to go up there and survey that.
I would suggest that there be a meeting. I think that'll go a long way.
Yeah.
I think that's
them?
yeah, I think so. I think if you can,
As a site meeting.
yeah, have a site meeting, I think that goes a long way. I think that just knowing Peter, I think if we can stand up there and have a conversation
And the reason being too, also, we're having more traffic and more houses on that road coming up.
what's your
That's
potential proposal from the town side? Some sort of a swale or some sort of
A light swale, and, take it back a little bit, but not,
I mean, not crazy. But,
not crazy, not a 6-foot ditch or nothing like that.
okay.
And we looked at, as a road crew, looking at moving the road, kind of squeezing it to the east side, but you got a ditch line there already, and you got telephone poles in the ditch,
Yeah.
along with mailbox stuff.
So would it be
And
a good decision to
that's,
find out when he's available, as well as
we can do that.
a representative,
However,
Chris
you
Carter
wanna work
from
it.
CV or
Do you want me
GM?
to reach out?
Sure. You have
I've got his number.
someone contact you.
I'll find out because they do quite a bit of traveling, so I'll find out. And
Yep.
I'll just put a feeler out, and just say.
I mean, for what it take for work, probably could do it in 4 hours.
what you're proposing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like the
Keep
whole
it
board.
minimal.
It's not like the whole board needs to go up there. I would say, if it's during the day and you guys can go. It doesn't. It's not like it has to be all of us.
No, but I feel at least 3 board members.
Oh, yeah.
Minimum,
Oh yeah,
and I have to be warned.
sure. No, it should be. I agree with you, but I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm the one here that's got the least flexible schedule. So I'm saying if
Okay.
or even the 4 of you can go,
So you can set up conversation.
I'll at least
time
reach
with-
out. I can do that part of it.
Appreciate that.
And as soon as Cash finds out when he's available,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if there's a pole issue, maybe we have Chris Carter.
There's nothing to do about it because
Okay.
I'll reach
the
out.
way it's set up.
I'll reach out.
Thank you. And then the other thing is Creek Road, the new pavement got shouldered today. Got completed.
Mhm.
And
Looks
then
good.
the next project is going to be Cold River Road, and weather related on that for him to get back to do that.
As far as that goes, is there one paved driveway we got to touch up?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so, unless you know something I don't.
No, I'm just asking.
Because
I didn't know. Docks,
whatever-
Docks is paved, so I didn't know if we.
I
had
talked to Doc. He was fine the way it was.
Okay. He's about the only one that, as I was driving
Yep,
it, I was
and
like, he's
that's
the
why-
only one that would have to have
And
anything
actually, I brought in some of that material
done.
for his south driveway.
So he's good.
Yep.
Okay.
That's from the airport material?
Yeah, no, it's the stuff we have here.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, that was my only question. I didn't know
Yeah.
if we had to touch his up or not.
Yeah, he's all set. South Creek Road. Kurt Hathaway removed some of the debris down there in the creek. Kind of like more done, but I guess that's about all extent it's gonna get done. On the other hand, where the material was pulled up over the bank, because he pulled it across the river, because we got in with Josh Carbonell, get permission to do that. They pulled the material across the logs across the creek. There's quite an opening right there that he reseeded, and one of my guys actually suggested if we get some boulders and put there
To prevent.
to prevent somebody going in there and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we reach out to Kurt to
Put something there.
just
Is there room
if
to-
he drops some boulders, like just move them with a payload.
Yeah. Is there room to put boulders there?
Mhm.
Is there more money in the grant? Is it expended, or is there more? You said you'd like more done, so
Well, in the bid process, there was actually 2 sections that were supposed to be removed out, and the section north of there did not get approved by water, Josh.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
even after the grant process,
Mhm.
state water did not approve it.
And it was kind of asking Phil in a little bit.
So when we did the site visit down, a couple months ago, we went back and it was questionable then, even before we started the bidding process on it, if those 2 small sections were going to be able to be done or not. So when Kurt priced it out, he priced it out as he was doing those 2 small sections, along with the portions that he did. So we're just waiting on his final bill.
Okay.
But there should have been more that we could use, right, Cash?
Yes.
I mean, is it possible Josh would come back and tell us where we could spend some more of the money, or does it require a grant amendment?
Well, that was through NRCS,
Yep.
the grant was.
Okay.
So basically, Josh was a permission to work within the
In the
waterway.
river, in the waterway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, with that being said, we probably ought to look at armoring that bank right there.
That's just above the guardrail? Where the new guardrails are put in?
It's where he just removed the debris out,
Oh, okay.
that section.
Okay.
What did he do with the lumber that he pulled out of it?
He hauled it away to his place.
How long in sections you gonna have to do the armory?
Probably, I don't know, roughly 70, 80 feet, probably.
That's not too bad.
But it's gonna be the big rock that we
Yeah.
don't haul in our town trucks.
Yeah, I hear you.
And you probably got to talk to Josh about that before that
Mhm.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
One step at a time.
Yeah. Yep.
And we would have to do that like tomorrow or the next day, because the grant closes out in 2 weeks.
So it's got to be quick.
Well, I don't know if they'll cover the stabilization.
Right, we would have to find out, that's what I mean.
Right.
If that's something that we can
Well,
use.
you mentioned amendment, because it sounds like the money was allotted for a different part of that project, and you want to move it, so.
If we,
know
I was going to
that's
say,
what-
if they'll let us file an amendment on it and say, hey, we didn't use all of this, can we amend the remainder for this?
Right.
But this is one that was also, has this already had an extension or not? It has. Okay.
We had October 30th to complete the project.
Yeah. When you get into those extensions, it gets, like, if you've already had an extension, it gets to be tough, but they can be forgiving the first time, but not necessarily the second and the third, so.
Right.
But it pays a question if they'll let you use it to armor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can scramble and have some armor material brought in.
Right.
And that requires somebody's big excavator to set it and stuff.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, employee update, our new employee. Kudos, he's working out super.
Good.
Everybody seems to get along with him, he's easygoing. I actually met with him personally this morning after the meeting when we got ready to go. Just asked him his pros and cons. What's your thoughts? And he goes, everything's fine.
Good to hear it.
So we've had him on equipment already and
He's been in the payloader, been in tandem truck, and also roadside mower.
Good.
And
well, that's good.
And then the truck I was driving, because we're so busy, and I kind of relaxed on it. There was a couple lights out, and immediately the tail light flashing light, it should have been fixed prior, but
He did it.
he did it.
Good.
Within, took it on himself. He asked me, and it's, yep,
Good to hear.
you got time to do.
Initiative. That's good to hear.
Good.
Mechanically inclined that way. Next thing we have is the Beavers and Chipping Hook at Firehouse Lane.
Oh,
You want to step in on this?
I take it is what it is. I mean, you sent an
It
email.
is what it is.
So the short version, based on what I read, is that if it had been done before October 1st, they would have let us do it. But it's after October 1st, so the state does a moratorium, right?
However, if you get in this pamphlet here, if it has a municipality, railroad, or whatever, and causing a safety hazard,
But you got to get state permission for that.
So our critter guy, Ken Reed, the one who's been taking care of the transfer station, he is also in process of getting permission from Vermont Fish and Wildlife to trap the beavers.
Okay.
So we could, because you have to take care of the beavers before we can do anything. So he is just waiting on a call back from them before he just jumps in and does it.
So
just to
if we
make
get
sure
them trapped
everything's-
out of there, in other words, and we can prove there's nothing in the habitat, they might let us do it then.
Not necessarily, because the main reason that you cannot remove them doesn't have anything to do with the actual beavers themselves. It has to do with the trout and fish spawning and whatnot. So,
Okay.
yeah.
and I don't understand that because that's what they feed on, that and the muskrat. So there's no fish there anyway.
It's
No,
And the beavers are just gonna come back.
Oh, they don't?
No,
Beavers don't?
it's
they'll
the
move if there's no more wood.
Well, that's what that's okay. So that's what I was told that way too. That the fish will leave.
But they eventually come back.
well, if you got a good thing going, why would
they've
you
got a
change
dam
it?
built next to the bridge.
Under the bridge, kind of.
well,
Yeah.
it's almost under the bridge.
Yeah, it's kind of in the
And so my concern is if that washes out the road, if we get a, pretty good rain event to use
What's
it.
going to happen is I can picture this if you get a wicked rain event with that dam there, it's going to back up in that upper wetlands south of there, and then if that dam lets go, there's going to be a gush of water. There's going to be heck to pay
Now
down.
look at what happened to 140 and Rutland Country Club. when the dams
Yep,
let
yep.
loose.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the dam itself right now it's not like large. I have pictures if anyone wants to see it. It is, like this tall, but I mean, it's holding a significant amount of water back. Under the bridge itself, it steps down like it's cement or something underneath there. So, and you can see how it kind of just goes and steps down. So, again, if we can take care of the beavers, then to get them to stop building it any higher at the moment,
That's at least a start.
that's what we need to do.
That's a
That's not
start.
gonna happen.
And the other thing is, if the material's under 10 yards, there seem to be not much of an issue, but if it's over 10 yards of material taken out, then there's an issue. And right now, there's not 10 yards there.
So you can't move the other one.
So, long story short, Ashley, if they make us leave it till spring, what's the first date we can touch it in the spring?
June 1st.
June 1st.
Okay.
And what would you do? Just trap them and move them?
Well, we've
You-
dealt with it before. You're allowed to actually remove the dam at that point.
Oh, you,
You're
okay.
talking about the beavers though, Jan.
Right, I mean, the beaver, you just take the dam apart.
That's what. Yeah, we've been in.
And hopefully they would move.
We've been in that situation before. Now, if he's getting permission to trap them, that's a different story. Hopefully, they'll be removed from the equation, and
Right.
no more building will happen. And if they're going to make us leave the dam till June 1st, at least there won't be any more building before June
And
1st.
hope we don't end up a lot of ice
Like trapping it.
back up in that wetlands.
It's got to be. I don't know where we are in the trapping seasons. I used to keep up with it.
And he's
Probably
allowed to
haven't done it
trap. He's allowed to trap at any time.
Okay, as long as
Because
he
he
gets
works
the
through
permission.
Fish and Wildlife, yep.
Okay. Well, that's a great first step. If
Yeah.
he gets the permission to trap them,
Yep.
there you go.
I guess that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, approval of select board warrants. Where are they?
They're over here going to the
Oh, I
bottom.
need those.
Yeah.
Heavy rubber.
It's not in there.
Bob has
There's only
it.
one.
There's only one.
We have to share.
We go share.
But I was in the middle of a
live with-
doodle
we
over
can
here,
live with
so.
that. Well,
All right.
I'll let you go back to it in a
Are there
second.
any guests tonight? Public comments, any public comments?
Rutland Town graded their side of the road.
Yep.
Potholes are back after the rain today.
Oh, God. How, did they widen the road at all, or
No.
dig any ditches, or any?
They
No,
rented a grader from Windmill that was, what, 50 years old, 60 years old maybe?
No, that old, but it was an old dresser.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, they tried, but they didn't bring in any material. I mean, when they were grading the road, the pile in the middle of the road was only about this high.
Okay.
And I
so-
know when you guys do our road, especially in the spring, you know,
Yeah.
you go across the middle of it, your belly of your car or truck's dragging. And so, anyway.
yeah, I was just over it this afternoon as it was raining, and I said, this ain't gonna last.
And I asked one of the guys, he was sitting there in the truck just waiting, and there were two of them in the grader, and when I asked the guy in the truck, I'm like, you gonna bring in any material? Well, we're gonna grade it and wait and see what happens. I'm like, well, I said, I'll tell you what's gonna happen, we're gonna get rain and the potholes will be back.
I got told the same thing.
Well, invite them up, as soon as the potholes are back. You keep doing that, somebody's gonna get tired of having to run up there all the time. Maybe they'll fix the damn road to.
Well, we keep getting those potholes. I'm thinking we ought to start making use of them somehow. I don't know how, but
No, it doesn't, I think
really.
some people just skim through them, that's why they get bigger. Yeah,
yeah,
faster is better.
which makes them worse.
All right, moving right along, old business. Furnace replacement.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that I have started getting furnace replacement bids. I have one in hand. I do have another en route, and I'm just waiting on the gas doctors to call back. Apparently, the state of Vermont is requiring all oil tanks to come out of the ground by 2030. So what we have had,
How can they do that?
I'm not sure.
They're double walled.
They can't.
I'm not sure. So,
And that's a Vermont thing, not a countrywide.
no, it's a Vermont thing.
So now the time to look at a different source of gas.
Well, that's what I was going to
Like
suggest.
propane.
Right,
Propane.
so I have propane being priced out.
Did we reach out to Lime Green about pellets?
I don't know what lime green is.
Lime.
have
That's
heat pumps.
we have them. This is for a secondary source. Lime
Efficiency Vermont?
and
that-
efficiency Vermont.
Yes.
Yeah,
So they said that, there's no type of rebate or anything with any type of heat source at the moment.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
Efficiency Vermont said there's no types of rebates or anything like that for rebates.
but did you specifically ask for biomass if there was any? Because there was huge rebates for biomass.
Yeah, according to Megan, there was not. So
Wow.
I can double check. What did you say though? Green what?
Lime Green, LYME. It's Lime, New Hampshire. Lime Green Heat.
Never heard of it.
They're the ones who did our pellet boilers at the school. And there was huge. There was a forest. So at the time, and I went through Megan.
Yep.
There was a biomass. There was huge biomass energy credit, like not energy credits, but rebates through efficiency, especially for old buildings. If you could prove your fuel oil usage, and there was a $25,000 from the U.S. Forestry Department. which we're probably potentially beyond that due date now, because I want to say that was a fall type deal. But at the time, the U.S. Forestry Department, it was through the Department of the Interior or whatever, there was a 25,000 through them as well. So
Yeah, I know everyone, like, energy people who came here to look at the building suggested, like, the heat pump style.
they're pushing
Prices.
everybody to electric, but nobody wants to talk about the fact that the grid's not going to be able to support everybody electric
Right.
eventually. So the reality is we have to have another source of heat,
Right.
whether it's a new fuel oil system, a propane system, or pellets. You gotta have something. You can't.
What I was suggested was propane.
Okay. So, I mean, that's the reality. We have to have another source. We can't function just on heat pumps.
The propane be less maintenance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, but we've seen propane go crazy too. I mean, I don't
Oh, price stuff. Yeah.
on prices. Yeah, I mean, I certainly anything's going to be more efficient than what's down there. I mean,
That's the key right there.
last time I looked at it, the
That's a-
firebox, you probably could throw a cat through it. So
Dinosaur.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's a hot air. So, I mean, just gotta look at what the options are.
And then that'd eliminate, if we did do propane, that'd eliminate underground fuel tank.
Yeah.
It would, yeah. No, propane would eliminate your underground fuel tank if that's what they're aiming to get rid of. But
But you're still
then
gonna
again,
have
that's
to
gonna
remove
push-
the tank.
well,
It's gonna push you into kerosene then.
what's the next question is? Does anybody know what the capacity of the underground tank is? Because
I'm thinking it's a, 275 upright, something like that maybe?
if it's underground, it's got to be closer to 500, I would think. That tank,
Really?
when that tank was put
The
in,
nozzles are close to the building though.
when was it put in?
I don't think it was all that long ago.
I didn't think that
Yeah.
tank's that old.
About 7 or 8 years.
Well, before I was on the board.
How long have you been on board?
Longer than that.
He's been on the board 12, 13 years.
He hadn't been on 32 years though.
Who's been on board 32 years?
Can't imagine.
12, 13 years over there.
So the thing is remember that when you pull that tank, if they're going to make you do it, they're going to test the soil. They're
Yeah,
going to
they
like
have-
you go into the whole shooting match with that, and you're talking.
Long time.
Last time I checked, I mean, depending on what size it is, you're talking You're probably going to be as much as your install of your new equipment, probably to get rid of the old tank.
I would guess that's correct.
You're not talking a cheap process. That's all.
If they have to put in test tubes or anything else, that's
Well, it's new enough. It shouldn't
shouldn't be.
go that far. I don't think. But
Well, if they can smell.
if they can smell when they pull
Yeah,
it, you're in
they're-
trouble.
Big in what? Normie buried down there, you'd be alright.
Dave Potter was on the board then when it was.
Oh, jeez, you're really going back now.
Yeah.
That's quite a ways ago.
It's only 8 years
That's
old.
6 years after. That's probably about 18 years ago.
And then Ralph Austin.
So I changed my tune. Maybe it is time to get it out of there.
I mean, so this one person that I had spoke with said Vermont will be requiring underground to come out of the ground permanently in 2030. So being preventative now would be a good idea, obviously. But
Yeah, because you don't know how many more new rules they'll put in.
right, who knows what's going to happen
So
between
why
now
are
and
they
then?
burying all these double-walled tanks?
Oh, they're pulling into,
They're pulling them.
yeah. Doing everything above ground. Which makes sense, you could see it.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Propane tanks too, are they gonna pull those out?
I think so. Those are, they're worse than fuel oil.
If
Run
they
all right through them, yeah.
I mean, I guess I would check into biomasters, and I'm like I say, I'm not saying that it's the answer, but I'd like to have some cost comparisons.
Yep.
Now we're running boilers. We're not running hot air, but they can put exchangers on them for the hot air. So they just I mean, it's either way. You can go multiple ways with it.
I guess it would depend on room and space too, because it's pretty tight down there too.
They'll fit.
They do.
Yeah, mine are stand one of these tables on its end, and that's all it is. And you, for this building, based on the size of what's down there, they would price you out one, maybe two. They might want to put two in, so you got a backup.
Yep.
So, but it depends. I mean, our whole building, they put 5 in.
So
it's doing the
we're
whole building.
basically still in a pricing process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just
This
as
one
a-
is functioning, right?
We
Or
haven't
is
tried it yet this year.
we haven't tried it? Has it been cleaned this year?
Haven't had anything done to it this year, and in the springtime, it was limped along just to get us to when we could really efficiently switch to heat pumps. And that was about it.
Okay.
I thought it got cleaned like last fall. Bill Lotion.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
both
been
of them
cleaned and then fixed again and then fixed again, and it's just this cyclical thing. Every year we go through and it gets worked on and it gets tagged that it's fine, and then a month later we're calling in someone to come fix it again because it's not working again. I mean, we've dumped.
I mean, I'm not opposed to high efficiency. Again, anything's going to be more efficient than what's down there. And some of the high efficiency propane stuff is pretty good now, too. I mean,
Yep.
I'm not. And even the high efficiency number 2 units are good now, too. I mean, they've come so far, even in the last
Well, that's
10
gonna-
years.
If your tank's not underground or in your cellar, that's gonna push everybody to kerosene, right?
They're going to have to do cut fuel.
It's gonna be more expensive, even more.
Which is why, again, whether you do biomass or propane, I mean, a propane tank could sit off the side out here somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, which is more expensive to run?
They're all expensive. I don't think it's going to matter.
And this place isn't, we were discussing this, no insulation other than corn stalks.
Well, the other benefit with propane, we already heat the shop propane, the transfer station
Propane.
propane. We've already got some establishment of propane for volume.
Your number 2 is when we were pricing number 2, it was always this building and community center,
Yep.
Grange. So
If you're thinking of replacing a furnace, especially like this hot air, and you got window mounted air conditioners, wouldn't it be the time to put the cooling right in with it? You know, AC and heat, same ductwork.
We have
well,
heat
these are
pumps.
these are the AC.
That's the air conditioning, the heat
And
pumps.
then the next thing is $100,000 to put vinyl siding on it, and it doesn't even have insulation between the floors.
We're gonna discuss
You're
that.
looking at like $150,000 in a building that couldn't even be considered an evacuation center like Florida needs. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, maybe we need to think a different way.
This,
You gotta fix the furnace, no doubt about it.
yeah. We have, when we get into this discussion shortly, we could go there right now, but the cost I'm looking at right now is, 89,000
For what?
siding.
Oh,
That's still that same one from before. You guys
Okay.
had just requested the warranty information.
And you sent that here.
Well,
Excuse me.
I would suggest that for next meeting, you just keep seeing what you can get, Ashley. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I have reached out, and on siding also.
and it's very possible that,
person like the
the-
idea of propane.
like you say, because efficiency cycles what they cover.
Right.
So it's very
That's what I did
possible
at
that this
Powell's.
is an off year for pellet stuff.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
simple.
that's just
Yep.
the reality.
Yeah, and like you said, everything is expensive.
It is.
Damn it.
It's- yeah, it doesn't matter.
Bless you.
Every time I put on glasses, last time I broke my nose, I even,
Done the pellets, like the schools and stuff.
They have, yeah.
It helps the first side of it too.
I also wouldn't be afraid to reach out to, I know they never used to come this way, but Master Plumbing and Heating out of Ludlow
Yep.
is extending this way, and I know I know there's at least a couple guys in town, I see trucks that
Yep.
parked at their houses that they work for them, so might not be a bad idea just to reach out to John.
Yeah, I know all of them too, so.
Yeah. Because John might be willing to give you his 2 cents too.
Yep.
So can we have something hopefully by next meeting?
Yes, the heating folks are much easier to get to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Because that way, because before you know it, be foot of snow on the ground.
So, I guess this could be known as a hot job?
Yes. Or cold.
And that's why I did my house. We put in expensive furnace and it's hooked up to a big heat pump outside. And it's all forced hot air. And so I got central heat and central air. But the issue is now we've already spent the money on these heat pumps here.
Oh,
Which-
right, no
Yeah.
doubt about it, but that's what I'm saying, it just compounded issues.
Right.
Instead of, actually, maybe you gotta stop, put the brakes on a little bit and think about it. Hell, I'd set up a Visine stand, if anybody couldn't stand to look at the town hall, give them some Visine, put it in their eyes. I mean, that's my answer to it, I mean, if it's not insulating, we're trying to lower the carbon footprint. We're just throwing money at,
You're
putting
talking,
lipstick on a pig.
you're talking like that because you worked with load of linemen for a long time.
Height bars on the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, let's moving right along. So hopefully we'll have some more information here by next meeting.
Is there anybody cleaning the heat pumps here?
I
Like
don't know.
literally going in there in that little squirrel cage that goes round and round and
The
round and round?
filter ought to be pulled.
They should get serviced once a year, just like a furnace.
Actually,
Should be.
like twice a year.
So I would just reach out to whoever put them in. They should get serviced once a year.
You just pull the filters out and clean the filters.
No,
Step
there's a
ladder.
lot more to it than that.
Is there?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, you're supposed to get them serviced like a furnace once a year.
Do you have them at your house? Uh-oh.
Mold
Learn
builds up
something
in it.
new every day.
If you don't run the air conditioner every day, mold will build up in it.
Height bars on the bridge.
Please. Head knocker.
Covered bridge.
Full cover.
So can I give my 2 cents based on what was emailed to the board?
Go ahead.
I want the heavy duty I-beams that are going to tear the top of a truck right off if they try going under it.
Well, that'll
If you're gonna do anything.
If you're gonna do it, that's my suggestion. Go for the gold. Put the heavy duty I-beams in. That's gonna really slow somebody down.
Now, how do they get installed? Is that 5 feet away from the bridge itself, or?
Yeah, you put them off the front of the bridge, and they're mounted. You're gonna sink concrete.
McDonald's.
Yep, same concept.
Oh, okay.
And you set it a little bit lower than what the
Actual height is,
actual
yeah.
opening of the bridge is, so that you, whatever the posting is, you're gonna have it.
As someone who has a hobby of photography, I'm like, absolutely not.
I was gonna say, that's gonna really improve the looks of the bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
That,
Just start-
nobody's gonna want to photograph that bridge anymore because who's gonna want to? I mean, oh, Robert.
Did somebody go in it?
Heidi, you got my vote.
Imagine the YouTube videos we could make.
You gotta.
I
You
know
gotta,
you.
you
I
gotta
know
do
you want to
something.
protect it.
You gotta put something there.
Did something happen that makes you?
Well,
There was another bridge up north that just got clobbered right after getting fixed. It's just like kind of our situation.
In
They
Brandon?
just
Oh,
rebuilt
Brandon.
it, and no, it was up north further. Than
Oh,
that.
another one?
There was somewhere and took the whole took the whole entryway off of it, and
And so Lyndon, so that
took the trusses out of it and everything.
those guys are installing steel L-beams 40 feet away from each side. They already have blinking
How many
signs
feet?
40 feet away.
Well, you could do that.
You could do
put
that.
it far enough away.
Then
I mean,
you can still get
the
your,
truck is still gonna whack it.
and then
Yeah.
you can still get your pictures. You can get close enough to get pictures.
And it says they already have, so the state, the man I spoke to from the state, said possibly like flashing, blinking type signs. And the man from Linden is saying that they're not helping at all. Like they haven't deterred anyone from going through them. So they are doing, the steel piece. They have local high school welding class doing the welding on it, and they have some company doing a nice CNC sign for it, so it'll still say like above it the name of the bridge and, you know, look halfway decent, but
But those are still established 40 feet away?
these are going to be 40 feet away. Yep.
Which you're gonna be hard pressed to get 40 feet away on the
Right.
north
One
side.
side.
Yeah.
You certainly can get that far away on the
20 feet is gonna
south
put it
side.
in somebody's driveway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The north side is your problem.
And that is the problem. They come off Airport Road 103.
So, just because I don't know, shooting from the hip on as far as if emergency vehicles have to go across, is that lower than,
Yeah, it's cleared for emergency vehicles. That's not a problem.
okay.
Such as ambulance.
Thing is an ambulance, right?
Yeah,
Ambulance is the only thing.
because a fire truck can't get through it.
Right.
And yes, ambulance. If an ambulance has to, an ambulance can use it.
Just making sure that it's still,
See, the problem is the angles. So you gotta figure in the footage across the highest section of the bridge. But then there's those angle sections, and that's where people don't understand. That's what I saw, a lot of damage over the years was more to the angle sections as opposed to the height section.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, I like to know
See
you-
how the bridge is angled like that?
Well, maybe you could just put like some reinforced, like steel behind the angles. So if a truck does hit it, you know,
It's gonna take everything.
Yeah.
Make it even worse.
put it behind the wood. So it'll still look.
So the other thing, to answer Heidi's question, we have to get in there with the plow, not in there, with the tandem trucks to back drag or plow, so we need that height there.
Yeah, you got to be able to back drag.
12 feet.
So that would mean those 40-foot ones would be, you couldn't get under there with your big trucks. The back drag.
Depends on the beam, how high it is.
It can't be any higher than
The bridge
bridge.
itself.
So,
So you'd have to do it with the 1 ton, that's all.
and they've done it, but
Say
that's,
years ago, that's why we had a 1 ton down.
Yeah.
Was take care of intersections, places like that, something like that. Some of your dead end roads that you can have a hard time turning a tandem truck around in. That 1 ton should be jumping all over town, taking care of that, while
Well-
you big guys are taking care of the road.
that's what it is. That's the way it's going. Especially with a new guy.
Well, I'm thinking that how far away can you have something on the north side?
On the north side,
You said 20 feet.
you'd have to measure it.
You have to measure it out, and you got a house right there with a
Yeah, I know.
front entrance. Have to go over and do
Yeah.
site work on it.
I mean, that's
Look
a
at it.
good solution, but if you don't have the room, then it's not a solution.
This is what they do in the Notch Road, right? And signs, and that really helps.
What's that?
Yeah.
I said, just like they have on the Notch Road.
Uh,
The signs really help.
Come work on the road crew with signs up, it
Signs,
don't matter.
signs don't mean anything. to
Don't mean
anybody.
nothing.
It doesn't.
It does not.
That's why I'm saying if you're gonna put something in, you got to put something in that's gonna hurt. I mean, it's gonna catch a box truck, or it's gonna, and it's gonna catch them before they get to the bridge.
Well, the question, again, is in the past 10 years, how often have we had a problem?
Exactly, and is it insured? Is the bridge insured?
Yes. Leave it
Yeah.
as
So-
it is.
If something happens, then we get it fixed.
Get it fixed.
Their insurance.
Yeah, right?
So when things happen, did somebody complain about it, or why is it on the
We've had
agenda?
what stuff's been clipped twice since I've been on the board. It's been clipped.
We just had
Back
two
in my
different
pickup truck, I have a couple pieces that passed it.
Just trying to think. In 13 years
There's
that
been,
I've been here, it's probably been twice, 3 times that's been clipped.
just before the bridge was redone, that box truck, and then 2 years
Yeah.
prior to that box truck. And those are the ones had New York plates on it, and they're, Mexicans, somebody driving it. 'Cause they
Yes.
passed me with a payloader, I had to get out of their way on Bump Road,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing they just.
Is that
come
the
to
one
bridge.
that went in the ditch with the car?
So
So,
I don't know. I just, the problem is that
worrying about
more and more of
aesthetics.
them are getting hit. I mean, we're seeing it in the news an awful lot.
So let's make a deal with our insurance. If we put something up there like that, they'll give
Reduce
us,
the premium.
reduce the premium and stuff.
You did the steel, put it right in front of it. What makes the steel look like the bridge?
Not out by itself.
Right.
How would you do that?
Basically
wood
right on the
facade on it.
entrance.
I think it can be done pretty creative. I mean, just blend it in.
What would you
Blend it
go,
in somehow.
like an I-beam 8x8 or something?
Yeah, box it in. Put the sign on that or whatever. I'd have to go over and look at it, but I'm sure there's a way.
That means pouring cement
But
abutments
in the
and,
same token, just leave it.
Probably should have thought of it before they were, while they were building it.
Right.
right.
Kinda late now.
That's where the guide rails are.
Right. Yeah, put a pretty
That they
good
redid again.
Yeah,
Have to drill down in there and get a good base to hook something like that to. 'Cause you
So
don't want
both times it was hit with the box truck, it didn't destroy the bridge.
No.
It just needed repair, right?
It
Right.
clipped.
Yeah.
It clipped trusses one day, one time, because it got
It
repaired
snapped
for
some of
that.
them.
on the south side, it did, because they were coming
Yeah.
the other way. But where it took the siding off on both sides,
Yeah, I remember that.
but.
But we're not
two
talking
of
about,
those-
you know.
We haven't had structural failure.
Yeah, we don't
issues.
have to rebuild the whole bridge.
No.
And it wasn't to the extent of like, what was it, Gorham there, they went through that one time and, I mean,
Well, that's the Harvey Bridge.
yeah.
Because they left the dump truck up when they went
Yeah,
dropping.
I mean, that was bad. We haven't had anything like that.
But we haven't had, as good a signage as you have now on that bridge.
It don't matter how much sign you got. It does not.
I agree with that. I don't think signage is
It's all
gonna do it.
signage you want.
Where a lot of it starts with the GPSs.
That's the issue.
They don't care about driving. That thing is telling them where to go. So if they run over somebody, it didn't say get out of the way.
Right off Coeur d'Alene Road, right on the Horton Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect example.
Exactly.
That's true.
I mean, if you could
All
talk
the
to some
people
of
have been
the
there.
officers, the federal officers,
Crazy.
it'd scare you what people, they can't talk to them. They can't even speak English. A lot of these people are driving big trucks. Can't back up, they're just go ahead only.
Well, sounds to me like the opinion of the board is to leave it for now, so I'm willing to
Yeah.
fall in line with that. That's fine. I'm just saying if I'm going to put my 2 cents out that if the feeling of the board changes, my stance is go with something that's going to take care of business.
Well, if you're gonna do it, might as well do it, I guess. And I agree with you on that, Robert. But I guess my thought is, and I think Art's kinda on board with it too, is let's, put a sign up and see what happens. Because the history doesn't indicate that we got a particular serious problem at this point, in my mind. Is that about where you're at, Art?
Yeah, it's not a main artery,
Yeah.
so, I mean, yeah, stuff may happen, that's life in general.
This one in Linden is up right on Route, 14 or something like that?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
on a big
one-
road.
One of the major routes,
Yeah.
and that's why it's getting hit so much up there.
I'd like to see something like you were suggesting. Maybe put like an I-beam or something outside it and then put wood over the top of it to make it look.
There's a lot of ways to hide things like that. But like I said, I'd leave it. I'd leave it till it becomes a problem, and once it gets hit,
Revisit it.
there.
If it gets hit, revisit it.
Yeah.
Live with it.
You're talking disturbing
Oh, you're going to have to drive them down.
abutments and
Yeah.
stuff like
Oh,
that.
it's got to be
Yeah.
anchored.
It's gonna be a major project
Yeah.
to do it and do it right.
It's got to be anchored. Big time.
And then it's gonna bend, when they do hit it and bend it, push it into the bridge somewhat,
Yep.
I would think.
And
Unless you overbuild it. So, okay, enough on discussion.
Yeah.
Good to leave it for now.
All right. Moving right along. Siding discussion.
Ah, that's what I wanted to hear about.
Talk about
And so far, you only got this one.
That was my first question. Have we got any others?
Yeah. And to reiterate, is that the right word?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks. $89,325.
And remember, they were suggesting that we have a $5,000 reserve for contingencies.
Right, because in case they got
Is
a,
that mentioned on there?
it's, let's see,
I
exterior,
don't believe, that's the one that we had from before.
yeah. So,
So we haven't got one that indicates that 5,000.
I'm looking down through it. They're talking about the 3/4 inch insulation. That's what we were talking about
Not
outside.
much our ability to that.
Yeah. Install boards over existing openings to build depth to accommodate insulation. Outside corner install, inside corner installed, vented soffit installed, vented or solid exterminated. Aluminum fascia wraps, box dryer vents, installation of product to manufacturer specifications, man lift rental. So it's around 6,400. So that's included in the total price. So total is 89,325 with this bid. So we'd have to.
I mean, it'd be nice to get other bids,
Right.
right? So, the main thing for this discussion was you guys wanted to see the warranty on the product, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's there, and then his insurance is also on there.
That's in this whole pile.
There you go, limited.
Yeah,
warranty.
a lifetime limited warranty. And it is general, let's see, $2 million?
No, that's the insurance.
That's his insurance, that's, yeah.
Okay. The wrong page, I was going, Jesus, I almost fell off my chair.
So we talked a few days ago, Ashley, on the other places that you have requested quotes and not much of a response.
Yes, if anyone has any suggestions for me to reach out to.
I think, let's save this and we'll
Yeah.
try and get some more.
Is it actually fair to do that because now that his bid has been exposed? I just thinking open.
No, and somebody, in this case, somebody's gonna, if they put a bid in, it's gonna be on what, because they're not looking at this personally.
Yep, Peg TV.
It's public information now. You
Information now.
blurted it out there.
Yeah, but
Put it
what
out
I'm
there.
saying is that, what he's saying each thing is worth, not the total price.
And I'm not.
Yeah, but the next guy can come in $1 cheaper and he's gonna say, hey, we're $1 cheaper.
I'm not for this or against this, okay? I'm kind of for it, but I don't think it's right to.
It's either that or we paint it every 4 or 5 years.
So it's 50-year warranty.
I just think that it behooves us to have more than one quote, period.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that it is an issue.
Basically labor,
Yes.
Yeah.
because all the crooks and crannies.
Not to mention replacement of a lot of the boards now is starting to rot. All right, I think on this,
Table it.
let's, table it and see if we can't get, it wouldn't be starting this until the spring anyway, right? Isn't that what he's?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
So
wouldn't
we
be
have-
doing it now, this
Yeah.
time of year.
So let's try and get some more bids.
Or I'll leave it this way, or at least speak to some people in the know, even if they're not willing to bid, that are willing to
With
Give
that,
us-
verify and give you. I mean, I think that would make you feel
Yep.
comfortable
Yes, it
too.
would.
That'd
yes.
make
Even
me
if,
feel a
if
lot
they're
better.
if they're not, maybe they're not interested in bidding, but saying, hey, we'd like to consult and at least make sure that we're in the ballpark here.
Yeah, have them come up and pay them for their time or whatever, and
That to me,
Free estimate.
I mean,
I
if
agree.
it cost you $100 to have somebody come out and just give you the rundown on, hey,
Well worth it.
to me that's on an $89,000 project. That's pretty cheap money to make sure you're in the right ballpark.
I agree.
And the $5,000 surfing they talked in it could run into additional expenses, so
Oh yeah.
we're looking at 95,000 anyway.
The,
Yes, of
the other
course.
thing that, you know, Ed brought up long term, when we established the fund, and I may have been the only one that said it, but I said that the municipal building fund, if we're going to use some of that money to better the buildings, there's several things this building that we wanted to talk about. One, the fact that upstairs is inaccessible right now and it's wasted space. Heating has come up tonight, and then the other thing is if you're going to do an overhaul of some kind, and probably for this building, it would make the most sense to put spray foam in the walls or blown in cellulose or something.
It looks like there is.
There is blowing in.
Plugs outside.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
We found
It's
some.
all plugged up. It's all insulated.
So did cellulose get blown in at some point?
I don't know, but there's plugs. We
You found plugs?
All through the whole, like, the whole outside has plugs.
But the point about
Okay.
the insulation between the floors is one of what,
Yeah, I questioned if there was anything when they put this drop ceiling in.
Oh, I didn't,
These tiles, if you pull them, look like they're probably the faced fiberglass tiles.
Yeah, that's what I. And that.
So,
that's what they were
They're
considering.
probably, it's not that much. It's probably, you know,
If they're that thick, the R value is less than 10.
So you think it's insulation on top of this?
this looks like faced fiberglass.
yeah.
They made faced fiberglass ceiling tiles,
Okay.
and that's what these look like to me.
They're not that thick.
No,
not that thick.
they slid them around so that they could put all of the.
They're not that thick. They're maybe
I
three,
understand
Yeah.
that they're
Three
probably
quarter.
No,
yeah.
they're
no.
3/4 maybe.
Three-quarter.
Maybe.
yeah,
They're bored because when they're doing
They're
the fire,
bored?
the fire system, they had them opened
Okay.
They
up.
had them all
All right.
moved
Yeah.
around.
plus they ran.
I will eat my words then. They're not faced fiberglass, folks. I'm
Well, I
sorry.
think they are faced fiberglass.
I think
They're
they are
just
too. It's
thin.
just the thin stuff.
Okay.
They're not that thick.
All right.
Like I say, either way, it's still less than 10.
It's not
It's-
much.
it's, you know, it's a blanket on top of a sheet.
I'm not going to talk anymore tonight.
Sorry, Robert. Your face
You
is red.
understand,
Yes, man.
football season started.
You know,
Okay.
preserving history is a good thing and everything like that, like we agreed. But we talked about problems already because of it. This is another one.
Yeah.
Let's not just keep throwing money at stuff. Let's look at it, make sure we're doing the right thing.
Well, I wish the town originally, of course, 25 years ago maybe, we put out to the voters, we had a guy from Castleton come over, gave us a price to redo the whole inside,
Right.
upstairs as well, and insulate. And it was like it was either 125,000 or 150,000.
Right.
Back then, that was a lot of money, and the voters shot it down.
Probably well over $750,000 today.
Yeah. So,
But I guess what I'd like to do, I'd like to see some research on if there's plugs around the outside. I'd like to know if it ever was cellulose blown in or something.
Because then plugs are what, 1.25 inch diameter, were they?
Yeah, they're pretty big. I mean, like, some sort of insulation is in there.
I mean,
it's just a matter of who knows
certainly
what
I
it
don't-
is.
it's corn stalk.
It's before my time.
That's what's,
Yeah.
it is. Upstairs, when we had the mice and the birds and everybody else living up there, and then a couple of places, it's what the hell is that, lath Yeah. And then a couple of the walls fell out because they started getting rotted. And all of a sudden we started looking in there and it's corn stalks. And that was the insulation. So I couldn't believe that. All right, moving right along. Town officers report. Heidi.
Property taxes are due tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm open here at the town hall from 10 to 4. We also accept postmarks, as long as they're postmarked for tomorrow. I'm sure by the time everybody who's watching PEG TV, it's going to be past that due date anyways. But we also have a drop box right outside the door. If they're dropped off after 4 p.m., I will be checking the box first thing the next day, and anything that had been dropped off prior to that will be accepted, but anything after that is considered delinquent.
So they're getting essentially a partial day grace, is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't really look at it that legally. I have to accept tax payments until midnight on that day.
Got it.
So I'm not going to be here at midnight.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So we are currently at what is left to collect, $768,000, which is behind where we were at this point last year by about $150,000. So it's either going to be a really busy day tomorrow and with postmarks, or we're going to be having a
In the hole for a little bit.
pretty good delinquent list.
Everything's sitting down in the North Clarendon post office right now.
I'm sure there's
Saturday's
a hefty-
mail was quite busy.
Don't smile, Ashley.
Anything else, Heidi?
No, sir.
Ashley, do you have anything you...
I do. So at the close of last year, the amount that went delinquent was $241,529. And we have gotten that down now to $87,000. So, that's a pretty beefy difference in between. So hopefully the large amount, hopefully we'll have less than $241,000 going into delinquent this year. But if we do, I will take care of it and get right on it.
See what kind of trouble we...
Yep.
And while we're on that topic, applause and all that sort of thing to the efforts that you constantly make on keeping us up on the delinquent taxes. Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a good job. Kevin, do you have anything you want?
What?
Quiet? Everybody's laying down, laying still?
I'm watching people come in, pay their taxes, and no one's looking at me.
Okay. I was
You're
more...
a pretty scary figure right now.
I was more driving that conversation towards the graveyards that you're in.
Well, it's getting close. A few more days, and that's about it. Frost's gonna start setting in the ground. Can't use epoxy now, so.
All right, well, you did a good job when it comes to that. We sure want to thank you for that. Let's see. Executive session. Do we have anything? Executive session?
A
Then,
short 10-minute one.
okay, so would
You
you?
wanna do the board member thing first or anything?
I'd like to go first. I don't have anything to say, but George is sleeping now, so you can go on, move on past him.
Wake up, wake up.
I'm awake, I guess.
Please.
I don't have anything of any consequence at this point, but, Mr. Chairman.
Me either. Rob?
I do not tonight. Nope.
Nope. Art? Nope, I'm good. Entertain a motion.
So moved to enter executive session.
Second.
To discuss a personnel, and I've got a contracting thing to discuss as well. So,
Okay.
Okay, so that's 7:20.
but very short.
Very short.
Very short.
All those in favor of the motion, or
Aye.
Aye.